Hi, everybody. Welcome to yet another review of the Have Not. I'm sorry, I'm kind of tired and messing up. I'm trying to drag myself up to go to the gym. I apologize for my pajamas. Welcome to yet another review of the Haves and the Have Nots. So, one more episode left, and we're done with this series. So, we start out with Candace and her nightmare, and she's having flashbacks of everything that happened with her and Oscar and Quincy and War and Erica, and then Q was in the dream too. And basically, she's replaying how, she pushed Oscar out the window, and and she also had a she also in her dream was Erica getting blown up, and she wasn't even responsible for that. Anyway, so she has all that. She sees all that. And then Benny comes back and he wakes her up. So let's they weren't in this episode much, so let's talk about who was in this episode much. And I apologize because I misplaced my notes somewhere on my computer. I can't find them, so I'm gonna be a little all over the place. So over there at David's house, of course, Wyatt he's been restrained and all of that, and in the scuffle, I guess the security guard's hand got a little bit messed up. So Madison is trying to tend to him and see if his hand is okay. And of course, because Madison is a nurse, and Jeffrey gets jealous, and Jeffrey is like, his hand is fine. He knows where to get ice. And I'm like, why are you being like this, Jeffrey? I mean, Madison is a nurse. He's just looking at the man's hand. There's no need to get irate about it. And so, what else happened at David's house was, of course, Veronica pulls up. And she pulls up with her ex, and she's going through this whole spiel about, oh, Jeffrey, this is your daddy. He's your daddy, and all this. And him and David are kind of like looking like, what the hell is going on? And this guy Veronica brought her ex over, and I'm like, why is he even participating in this? It just made no sense to me why he agreed to go over there with her. I mean, why would he want to be caught up in her mess? So she had a DNA test and was waving it around and trying to get Jeffrey to look at it, and he didn't want to look at it. So and David, we already know he's had it with Veronica, but he was just like, you know what, you are sick. And he talks about how she killed Maggie and Erica, and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Of course, she's gonna play dumb about that, and she just continues to be a mess. Of course, she's gonna be, and then she's got to say something to Madison. Oh, hi, girl, hi, girl. She's just doing the most as usual. So, I'm trying to make sure I cover everything. So, anyway, we get a scene with Mitch and Vinny, and basically, the dialogue goes round and around and around, and it's repetitive. So basically, Mitch wants to warn Vinny that Sandy is coming after him, and Vinny won't let him do that. And it just made no sense. It's like, okay, so why didn't Mitch just you know, go along with the whole thing and then get out of there and try to warn Vinny before before the hit went down? And but he was begging him to do it, and that just made Vinny angry. And he told Sandy to go do it, make it bloody. And Sandy had still not left yet, and he was like saying, "Well, I was waiting." And Sandy is just he's pretty much a coward. He doesn't really want to do this himself. He wanted to. You can tell from the previous episode he wanted Vinny to have some other members of the family do it, but no, Vinny's just told Sandy to do it. So what else happened? I'll try and get through everything. This is probably going to be short because I don't have my notes. Um, so there was a scene at Veronica's house. She talked to her hitman, and she was trying to rub on him and all that, and he wanted his money. And she was saying, "Well, I'll get you your money tomorrow." He was like, "No, I want my money now." She's like, "Okay, I'll go upstairs and get it." And she grabs her purse like he was gonna go through with her. And she goes upstairs to get the money, and then he follows her, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm following you. I'm going with you." And I'm trying to. Okay, almost forgot this. So Catherine's in the jail, and this really hard prisoner is put in there with her as per Jim's request. So this woman can threaten her at over the power of attorney. Um, Wait a minute, let me rephrase that. Jim wants this woman to lean on Catherine, so I guess he can eventually persuade her to give him the power of attorney. And so she gets up in there and she's making all these threats to Catherine. "I'm going to make you my bottom bitch," and blah, blah, blah. And at first, Catherine doesn't understand what that means. But even though Catherine doesn't understand what everything means initially, she's still not really afraid. And she was telling the guard, "I was supposed to be in here by myself." And the guard's like, "Shut up," and all that. And but for Catherine, she finally gets it, and she's like, "If you touch me, Catherine's not having it." And I think that Catherine can at least try to hold her own with this thug. Because Catherine's not the one to mess with. I mean, she killed the district attorney, so if she'll do that, she's capable of anything, so you don't want to mess with her. So I'm anxious to see where that leads to. So in the final episode, because in the preview, it looked like they were in a fight. So let's talk about, okay, so back at David's house, Jim shows up and he's saying, "Well, I'm going to drag you to rehab." And White's like, "I'm not going anywhere. Just take me back to jail." Blah, blah, blah. And all this just being a whole mess and a drug head. And Jim's like, "What happened to all that 'I love you, Dad' stuff?" And Jim's like, "Well, I'm either taking you back to rehab or I'm taking you to jail." And Wyatt is resisting, and finally he just passes out. And he has no pulse. And so David calls for Madison. Madison comes down, and turns out Wyatt is in cardiac arrest. So Wyatt is dying again. And since the series finale is next week, it doesn't really matter if Wyatt makes it or not at this point. But I mean, Wyatt has been on the edge of death so many times. It's not compelling anymore when you see him about to die. So we'll see if he lives or dies at the end of this series. So Hanna comes home, and this girl is standing outside of her place, and She's like, oh, well, can I help you? And the girl's holding the baby, and she's like, my name is Tanisha. Is Benny home? And Hannah's like, no, he doesn't live here anymore. And Hannah should have picked up on something because the baby looks just like Benny. I mean, the casting is just spot on because the baby looks exactly like Benny. So Hannah should have caught on. So Tanisha asks for the number, and Hannah says, well, I'll call him for you. So Hannah calls up Benny, and and Tanisha's saying, well, do you remember me? We met at the club. And he's like, no, I don't know who you are. And she said, well, I've had your child. And he's like, well, I don't know who you are. You have the wrong guy. And she says, no, it only happened once, but I know that it's you. And Benny's just like trying to wash his hands of this. And Hannah gets on the phone with him because Hannah's like, let me talk to him. And she gets him together. You need to come over here and talk to this girl. You're talking about you don't know her, but your penis knew her. So Hannah, she can get Benny together because he was ready to talk. But before he can do that, before he can get over there, he ends up getting a call from Sandy. And Sandy's like, I'm outside. So Benny looks outside the hotel, and he's like, motel, and he's like, I don't see him. And then Benny's like, oh my God, Mama. And so him and Candace run out of there to go to Hannah's. And then over there at Hannah's, there's a drive-by, and the whole place is just sprayed with bullets. And I was looking, but Sandy might have been shooting, but it didn't look like Sandy was shooting to me. It looked like a bunch of other guys were doing the shooting. So Hannah's place, all shot up. And I don't think Hannah is dead because in the preview it looked like she was like driving and just very upset. So we'll find out what happens next week in the series finale. And at this point, I think this final season was not crafted as well as it could have been. It's just like trying to jam a bunch of exciting things in at the last minute, but it wasn't really built up to really end this series. And I feel like it could have been done much better, but because the series has been on for 8 years, it basically is what saved OWN. It came on and it saved OWN. So I would have expected a little bit better, but we'll see what happens in the finale. And I wish that the finale had been 2 hours because at least give us something power packed. Because I'm sorry. I was underwhelmed by this episode. I mean, yeah, the ending was surprising and shocking and all that, but I was a little underwhelmed by the rest of it because it just did not seem like a build up to a series finale. So, and this entire final season, or the entire final half of this season, has been like the same day. But anyway, that's it for my review. Next week will be my final review of the series, and I'll wax poetic then. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the finale next week. Bye.